Hello, welcome to the quick demonstration on automatic reclassification of regularization accounts. So the purpose of this feature is to essentially move the balance in the financial report from one account to the other if the balance of that particular account is not within the normal range of that bank account. So an example for this one here is that if you have a bank account, which you would expect that that would essentially be of a debit balance as a normal balance, but if for whatever reason, maybe overdrawn or yeah, for whatever reason, then you can move that credit balance of the bank account from the asset account to a liability account. So this is a good feature that somehow enhances the financial report just to show the balance of that account depending on the balance, if it's a normal balance or not. All right, so let's have a look at this one here. So firstly, we have to define if you look for you have to enable that feature first. So if we go to General Ledger, Setup, and you have the configuration in here. All right, so you have under the accounting settings section, you have the enable for regularization. So that's the feature that you have to enable. And you can see here that you have the regularization account reclassification journal. So you can create prior to setting up this journal. So this journal is essentially being used to post the reclassification journal. So if the credit balance of that bank account is being moved to a liability account, any journal entry created to effect that will be posted to the journal that you have assigned here. And if you have a look at general ledger, then all general ledger accounts, once that's enabled, then I have this one here, which is the bank account asset. All right. And I'm saying that this is a regularization account. And in this section, you have the reclassification account. So this is where you will designate the balance will actually move from this account. So if the balance of this account is credit, which is negative, then it will be moved to this reclassification account. So in this case, I have the liability account. If I click on view here, it is normal credit, but yep, it is an other current liability and it has normal balance of credit. So again, if the bank account has a credit balance, then you have the option primarily to move that credit or negative balance account into this account, which is a liability account, only if the balance again from that asset account or bank account is credit, which is abnormal, right? Okay, so what I've done too is I've already created a journal entry in here. So it depends on whatever transaction that you have against that bank account. It can be a payment, right? It can be a receipt of payment from the customer, or maybe some adjustments like as well, or bank fees. Right, so what I've done just for demonstration purpose is I've created this journal entry directly against the GL bank account. So the purpose of this one here is just to somehow trim down the transaction that I have on this bank account. So in this case, as what you can see, it's a debit to expense account. So it can be a payment, right? So a manual payment wherein you have a credit, a debit to other expense account, and I have credit to 10095. So if I run the balance sheet in here, so if I go to this report, right, I can go to general ledger, all financial reports, and I have this balance sheet detail. So what you can do as well, if you edit let's have a look at editing this financial report. What I've done is that under format, this is just a feature, right? So under general tab, you have zero numbers to display zero balance with activity. So the purpose of this one here is that later on when we reclassify, since the balance is being moved from the asset account to a liability account, I just would like to see that that would actually be happening on the balance sheet. So the asset account will be zeroed out while the liability account will have that credit balance of that asset account. So we will be able to see that if this is actually enabled. Yeah, anyway, so let's run this report. So I'll just go back again to general ledger, all financial reports, and the balance sheet detail there, and HTML in my case, and I will run it on the 31st of March, and I know that that transaction is under location 400, and if I click on OK, and let's have a look at 1094. So you will see here, this is the only journal entry that I have, right? But then again, normal bank account, you will have like receipt of payments, payment made to your suppliers, bank charges, or anything reversals and all that stuff. But in my case, I only have one plain transaction that I know that would cost like a negative 1000 in there. So this is what we're seeing at the moment, right? So it has this bank account, which is an asset account, has a credit balance of 1000. That's why you will see there in parentheses, and it's negative. And essentially, what I'm saying is that if that bank account has a credit balance which is not equal to the normal balance, I would like that to be shown under current liability, other current liability as what I have defined on that bank account earlier. All right, so it should be moved from 10094 to 20094, which is an other current liability account. All right. So in order for us to do that is that we have, since you've already enabled regularization, it's mouthful. And if I go to general ledger, all reports, and you have the GL regularization account reclassification report, and I'll just accept the date in here because I know that that's within this month. And for the account as well, I don't need to bother because I've only defined one GL account with regularization anyways. And essentially, I would like to get everything right with regularization account defined. But in my case, I only have like one pair. But I have to designate the location in here because I have, in this instance, I just have multi-base currency. So location is a required field. Let me check that one or select 400. And if I click on view, all right, so you will see in here that the asset account 10094 has a negative balance, right? So it is an asset account, it is a negative balance. This is what I would like to move really from asset to liability. All right, so you have the journal, create journal entry in here button or create JE. So what it will do is to essentially, and you can see in here as well that any offline due it's being moved into an offline job queue. So we'll be able to see actually because this regularization will create journal entries. All right. If that's the case, let's have a look first at the status just to make sure that we have locked this time. Job history in here. All right. This is the time there and the state is delivered, which is really good. And if I go to remember the journal that we just created, that's where those journal entries will be posted. Basically, all will be created at this point, right? So let's have a look if that's really the case. If I go to general ledger and journal entries, and if I go to regularization journal and view transactions. All right. The system does create a pair of journal entry. All right. So the first one here is the movement of the balance from the source account, which is your, in our case, which is your bank account, right? Because the bank account has a credit balance as what we can see here on the financial report. It has a credit balance. So in order to move that, we just actually have to debit it. So the first entry will be debiting your bank account and crediting your liability account. But another entry is also created, which is a reversal of the other one. It's all because we know that this pair of journal entries is primarily to reclassify only the posting and the financial reports. So we have to reverse the effect of reclassification, right? So the reclassification is happening at the end of the current month that you are uh, making the reclassification. And since a reversal will automatically be created for you as well, that would essentially be posted on the first day of the month following the reclassification. So in our case, the reclassification is happening on the 31st of March, while the reversal is happening on the 1st of April, the following month. And you will notice in here that the state is draft, so you can make some amendments if necessary. But then again, we know that in our case, it's quite straightforward. We have 1,000 in here, a credit balance from the asset account. I just would like to move it into a liability account. So my financial report, based on my requirement, will address that. All right. So from the list of journal entries in here, I'll just select all and click on post just to effect that, yep, I can move the credit balance of the asset account into a liability account and click on OK. And you have here a reminder as well as to, large number of journal entries. And I'll just click on continue in this case. All right. So you will notice that the state changed to posted. So if I run, right, the financial report, and just click on filter here, filters rather, and same stuff as of 31st, location in here 400, and I click on OK. And let's have a look at the effect on the accounts. On the asset account 10094, you will see in here month ending as of 31st of March is 0. It's all because we moved that credit balance into a liability account. So what's the liability account again? So the liability account is 20094. So if you scroll further down, 20094, I had that quick start category in the under other current liabilities. So 20094, you will see in here the 1000 in here, right? Which is a movement. So if you click on this, anyways, just for us to see what's going on there, you will see, yeah, this is the first set of journal entry anyways, right? So regularization account, this is the one that is being posted to RJN, which is essentially the movement, right? Let me just expand it further. All right, so this is the first set of entry being created and posted, right? So debiting the asset account because it has a credit balance. We would like to zero it out. That's why it's being debited. And crediting the reclassification account defined on 10094 in this case is 20094, which is a liability account. So that's being credited. So that's the effect basically as what you can see there on the financial report in here as 1000. So the asset account is just showing as 0 now because we moved that along into the reclassification account, which is 20094. So when you run the financial statement, in this case, the balance sheet, then you will see there basically the clearing out from the asset account into a liability account because the bank account has a credit balance. And if it is a credit balance, I'd like to see the financial report showing that abnormal balance as a liability, right? So if you have a look again as well at the bank account in here, just for us to see the effect there. So we will still be led to that same, this is the journal entry that caused the credit balance. And because of the reclassification that has been zeroed out, meaning being debited, right? So at the end of the current month, which is March, I have the balance as 0 because I moved the negative balance, right, brought about by this journal entry into the liability account, which is a reclassification account. So at the end of the month, then this account will just be showing up at zero. So yeah, this is a very good feature, and hopefully this demonstration helps. Thank you.